thrilled to be your MC for today's roundtable discussion, from frustration and flexibility and why A&E firms are leaving Dell Tech and coming to BQE Core.
The time frame just to get into a Dell Tech product was so long that it was something that we couldn't accommodate. We could not do that. We were fairly attracted to what looked like a lot of flexibility with BQE, the ability for things to become customized for our business, and us to be able to look at that. And quite frankly, it just looked like we felt like BQE was growing on a much faster rate than we thought the platform we would have gone to with Dell Tech.
Had a couple of hiccups in 2020. We had a ransomware attack. We had to think about, consider really going to the cloud because we had cybersecurity issues post-COVID. A lot of our workforce went remote, and once that toothpaste is out of the tube, it's hard to put back in. So we have a lot of team members that are not only just remote, not in office, but they're scattered across the country now. And I've not met a single team member in our organization or any other organization that said, what my favorite thing to do is timesheets. Not everybody is built the same, and not everybody does timesheets the same. And so if you can have different ways to input it that adapt to that different user, that was huge for us. And then being able to pull the data out of it, right? So that was the getting the data in. That was really important, probably more important than getting the data out. But then being able to get the data out without having to buy additional software and hire third-party consultants just to analyze the data that you input. And that was a huge issue for us with all the Dell Tech products, was that the support wasn't there. When you call core support, and I've had many 3, 4 a.m. calls, there's always somebody on the other end, and they're always happy to help. So that was a huge one. And it wasn't a third-party consultant that we had to hire just to be able to extract the data and then translate it to something we could.
We really were looking for something that had a lot of flexibility. Everybody had worked in different products, a lot of Dell Tech products, but different Dell Tech products. And we were trying to find something that was flexible enough so that if there were things that people felt like they really need to get their information, and we needed to put together custom reports and things like that we could. That was kind of a big deal for us. I've worked in a couple of different formats before, and I've never felt overly supported, like we could just call and get support right away. I think that there's a lot of capability that the BQE product has. We want to take advantage of all of that, and the fact that we can make a phone call and get somebody to help us with that, and the level of training that comes along with it, whether it's in-person training or whether it's through video training. Those are some big points for us. BQE is a superior product to what we were using before, so that helps a lot.
Sure.
Being able to do timesheets easier than we have been, being able to do expense reports easier than we have been, people being able to get real-time information out about their projects. All of those things helped. But again, if we really didn't have the support in the training, and I think just the ease of user interface, I think we would have struggled a lot more with that. I think people are excited to be able to have a new product that gets them what they want. And I think that they're happy that it's usable.
From a ops perspective, and the project managers and the client managers, they never had any visibility. So to be able to build the excitement around that migration was quite easy, because even before we started the migration process, having that sandbox world to play in, and being able to just sit down and do a roundtable with the team and have the support of somebody at Core helping us and walking them through, and hey, you can look at this way and look at these widgets, and this is how a project could be done and could be set up, but this is how easy it is to set up a job number template. All of those things, and that amount of visibility into how the health of the project and how to live inside Core, it was really, really easy to build excitement for our team. And what cost thousands of dollars before, and weeks and weeks to get custom reports developed in the way that you want to see it, and in a way that puts the data in a meaningful light to you, now is a fraction of the cost and a fraction of the time. And so we've been huge fans of calling custom support or emailing custom reports all the time whenever we can think of, hey, what would be really cool is if we had this report. And so and that just kind of breeds collaboration. Everybody gets excited to talk to each other about the data and being able to analyze that. So that was the biggest benefit to us. We were able to cut on average 8 business days out of our invoicing process. So
that is fantastic.
I mean, everybody on this call could probably do the math on what that means from a cash flow perspective, but it was huge for us. You're seeing it in real time. And then even more so, I remember the first couple of months where some of the folks were doing fee-based projects, and we had the hourly rate set, and they said, I'm getting this little red NV on my timesheet every time I put hours on this one specific project. What does that mean? And it was funny because we immediately said, well, that means your time is non-billable because you've gone over your fee. And so it's not even at the manager or the client manager level, it's at every team. Our analysts coming in know exactly when they've gone over a fee. And so it's a huge trigger to say, okay, something's going on. We either didn't price this correctly or you're putting too much time to it. And so it's great to have those indicators in real time.
And BQE is enabling us to look at the data, daily, and then try to make really efficiency changes to benefit the overall business.